over of Portuguese governance by the Indian counterparts was not smooth, but it was done. This did not apply to spatial planning because this was a very crucial thing, because under the French system and the continental system under which Portugal functioned, the system of spatial planning, whatever existed, was part of the Oberst Publicus. Right? Unlike in the British system, it was part of local government, and we inherited the local government system in Goa. So it was the Oberst Publicus which controlled all the development exercises and zoning everything. But the Planning Commission, in the third plan, at that time, under prodding from the central government DCPO, started accepting that you could not ignore spatial planning in socio-economic investments. They did it very slowly. That was because regional planning existed in huge ways in the Western Ghats for the 5 stretch. It existed for the resource region in Bihar, Jharkhand, all those states. And they found that they needed all that information to make socio-economic investment planning workable. So they created a budget, and they created a budget for improving the whole system of spatial planning exercises in the states of India based on the new system after independence. And left to the TCPO, I was not in the TCPO then, but initially. And they drew up a hierarchy of uses. That is to say, according to population sizes, so and so. And Goa ended up with a budget for 5 years, and they had a hierarchy of 1 senior planner, 1 associate planner, 2 assistant planners, 1 research officer, so many planning assistants, and a hierarchy, so many PMs. I'm mentioning this because I think it's of interest. It's not been known earlier in a lighter vein also, I will tell you. So this came to the Goa government. The budget came, a lot of budgets were coming from all over. And the development commissioner said, what do we do with it? And so they started using the funds. They started employing people. 4 PUs were employed. And one of the MLAs of Santa Cruz, his wife was employed also LDC. So the question is, then the center said, you're using this budget, what is this progress? The progress was nothing, they were used all over the place. The only person who came at the officer level was a research officer, Anand Naik, and he was responsible. So the question is, when did the planning department come to Goa? Was it with that budget? Was it with Anand Naik? Or was it subsequently when my chief planner and came to visit Goa? When they came to visit Goa, they were told that we need a planner to run. And they said, we have the right man for you. He's a Goan. He's a bachelor. And this is a hardship posting. So we will send him. They came back to Delhi. I was quite happy with all the works they were doing in Delhi. They said, pack up your bag, you have to go to Goa. That's how I landed up. So possibly as a senior planner, you can say the start of the department was on the 10th of December 1964. Now, in signing over, I won't take long. In signing over, Alvan Kuto, I signed over with him. He says, now you go and take over charge of the department which is run by the Obras Publicas. In government parlance, when you do that, you tell Sai-Chan, I'm supposed to take over from you. There was Mr. Balkrishna Naik saying, thank God you've come. Please take all this, because investors were coming all over from the rest of India, and there were a lot of things going on here. I'm just saying, I was quite fortunate in those days to have a good team with me, Deshpande and Anthony D'Souza and all that. And we did our best, but what we did was improving the zoning plans, etc. And then I had to go back to my parent office. The next things came, what about the Town Planning Act? Yeah, in 1962, you had the Comprehensive Land Use Planning Act. And they found that Comprehensive Land Use Planning Act was not good enough, because they said, what about transport planning? And then in the 60s, you had land use planning. In the 70s, you had land use come transport planning. In the 80s, they said, what about services? Then you had the services come transport come land use planning. That's when I left the government in 82. After that, it came, what about environment improvement, and now eco management plans. So with all this, land use became the end result. So the Model Act with the centers was the Urban Planning and Development Act. That act was used to apply to Goa. It came only in 1974 with my department of TCPO advising how it should be done. Now I want to tell you this because it's very important. In doing that plan, now that said, there's a post of chief planner, and the chief planner has to prepare a plan at 3 levels, regional and this and so on. The regional plan for Goa. Dr. Deshpande had joined, selected by the UPSC. And he was there earlier with us, but now he was, having been selected, the Mr. Rani, Senior Rani, used to come very often. He says, we don't have people to do the plan. So you have to send someone. I was sent. And I came here. And I said, how do I deal with this? The center sort of said, you have to go and help them. Dr. Deshpande said, Mr. Ribeiro, I'm a great friend, I'm a great admirer of you because we have worked together. But if you're going to do the plan, what am I going to do here? Hats off to him. He was the local planner, head of the department. It's my responsibility to prepare the plan, and I will prepare the plan. And he prepared the plan. So the 1981, 2001, RPG Goa was prepared by Dr. Deshpande and his in-house team. Very important to note. Of course, Dr. Deshpande was far too, he never accepted any interference. The government started interfering. I think something went wrong between the minister and him, so he resigned. And he could afford to do it, and he did other things. So there was a gap. That led to a plan by some consultants in 2001. The rest is history. You had the whole question of the GBA coming into force, etc., etc. In that period, in Delhi, people were telling me your Goans are great. You see, what you all have done with your education at the ground level, the minister had to be changed. I think Montserrat lost a job. And then only y'all can do it. How do you all do it? Today, it's the other way around. They say, there's so much of mess in Goa. And other people are saying, if Goa can do this mess, why can't we do the mess? Anyway, this is just by the way. But the the plan which Mr. Digambar Kamath has became the Chief Minister, Charles Correa and myself were asked to join the team of task force. Others were all eminent people like it's all known to you, Dean de Cruz and others. And Oscar Ribeiro was also a member of the task force. And it was a plan prepared under a consultancy process. All the contents, etc. of the plan are there. That was draft RPG 21, which was for the period 2001 to 2021, with preparing 2007. So again, we applied the Delhi pattern. What do we do for the interim? And that was also taken care of. At the end of 2021 came the now 2141 plan is to be prepared. And I think again, they are overdue and that should be done. The whole question of establishing this has to be. A plan comprises of map, land use planning, the development control regulations in its simplest form. A map, development control regulations as separate from bylaws and framework in doing it, and the whole question of specifying participatory action. Now this plan was done when the task force submitted its report and said, please put this for public suggestions, otherwise it won't be operational. That is where Mr. Digambar Kamath failed, according to me. In putting it up, came back, yes, this plan will apply only to the panchayats. It won't apply to the urban areas, because the urban areas had ODPs in this place. Now, they dictated a state level committee to push it. When I found myself a member of the state level committee, when I came here, I found, what's this? Why does it leave these pockets out? Because you have an ODP there. I said, what nonsense. That's where I resigned, because they're saying you can't resign now, you put us on. I said, because it's my professional standing is at stake, not for any other reason. And that is also very important. And so the SSL committee went on, finalized the plan without this, and it lasted through 3 phases, and that plan is all been, at least they're all on paper, everything is there. I just thought I'll mention this background on the whole planning process. And a lot of activities. One more thing I want to mention. You see, sorry, can I take the 5 minutes? The 1961, when Goa got amalgamated into the Indian Union, it was not an easy amalgamation, because the central government, in their large maps, they looked upon Goa, they looked at the movement patterns. All your road, rail, air things, Goa was a node. It was required. But under the Portuguese system, Goa was an introverted state. It had very few linkages. Suddenly, it opened up, and there was a huge conflict between national interests and local interests. And so they laid this down. National highways with certain right-of-ways and railways with certain right-of-ways where is the national interest? Now here I'm specifically saying right of ways. At the central level, they don't look at roads, and I suggest when you look at these things, what is operational use, please don't consider I have a road coming in, road coming there. It's a road. A road means a right of way, 6 meters or onwards. So this, and I mentioned this because there were no railways in Goa. The railways, which the British, after building the first line in Bombay, decided that expansion was huge in all their colonies. And they needed good rail sleepers. And they found out that Dandeli forest offered the best rail sleepers for use in India, in Africa, elsewhere. And to do that, they made a pact with the Portuguese government, Portuguese India government, in 1870, somewhere there. We will build the railway for you, and provided you allow us to take Dandeli wood to the all-weather port of Marmugao. That agreement was done there. What you need from us, we need a right of way of 100 feet or 33 meters. I mentioned to all of us are very agitated with this double tracking. And because that has been with the railways, 33 meters right of way, it's in the books over there. All this was forgotten. What that did was, it facilitated the movement of Goans to Bombay. And that is the west of India, Portuguese railway. That is history. But when the Konkan railway exercise was on, Sridharan, he said, he had to double track his lines from Bombay to Kanyakumari. And he says, I have the land with me. Yeah. So, and people were saying, why not a single track? He says, please remember, that line belongs to me from the railways. Whether I have single line or double line or triple line is not your concern. It's my responsibility. And I have to give a double track. And he did it, and he proved it. So there were a lot of violations on that. Double track is not due to coal. So double tracking, and now this thing was also laid out in Delhi. All the railway land is shown in white, whatever large areas they've got. And they've got huge areas, but I'm just mentioning this. Same thing when it comes to highways. The national highway, you need 60 meters right of way. Then I will give you 6 lanes. Yeah. But someone will say 6 lanes will take hardly any land. Okay, I'm sorry, only a little bit more, and this is the end of it. I'm mentioning this again because they said when Mopa was to be built, the national highway was brought in. It's passing by our house. Somehow they succeeded in reducing it to 42 meters. And one final thing, this is really the final. When the task force first met, I asked a question of you, Dr. Kamath. Tell me, is MOPA on or off? He said, Charles said, why are you asking this question now? I said, because if MOPA is on, we'll give you one plan. If MOPA is off, we'll give you another plan. Yes. He said, it's very much on. And he says, MOPA will be the main airport because the other one is of military consequence and we're too much under the military control and it will be phased out. I just thought I'll mention these things which are very critical. Sorry, you asked me to speak over the constitution, that's why I've done it. Thank you.